Hotep, peace, shalom, assalamu alaikum, konnichiwa, muy bien. And to those I miss, please forgive me. I have with me in the studio Brother Anu, and what we're going to be discussing is Kupigana Ngumi. It is an ancient cultural dance, a fighting style with fists. And we're going to discuss a few things about it.
Peace, peace. Kupigana Ngumi. We know that's a fighting style. That's an African fighting style, which originally originated amongst Africans. You know, we can still see presence of this fighting style being used in Kenya, places of mostly in West Africa. Uh, Martial arts are the first essence of martial arts, with this and, fighting. This is places where, like I said, in Sudan, in Kenya, these are places initially, we can give credit of martial arts, to the Africans, you know. So a lot of people, we say, it's Asians or, you think about martial arts and you think about, always think about you know, Bruce Lee or you don't really think about an African. And, they always say, I think it's something like you have to have some kind of black gene or,
That's what I think. What was his name? There was a video, um, and there were various doctors, various people in the video, um, and he was talking about Bodhirama, and he was a samurai, and the legend was that to be a true samurai, you had to have some essence of, excuse me, African origins. And also, when we talk about, and that's samurai, but when we talk about its fighting styles, um, Kupigana Negumi is something that is still, practiced right now today. And it's not just a fighting style, it is also considered a dance. It's a part of ancient culture. And you can see this practice from one culture, of one geographical location to another. So usually, when we talk about martial arts and fighting styles, we usually always associate it with, Asians, and and what we don't include when we talk about the Asians is, the various essences of African origins. And in previous videos, I talked about the dance and some of the cultural practices when it comes down to the Jaguar warrior, and some of the things that were taught by some of the Moors in different geographical locations. We talked about Southeast Asia, where um, you can see the practice of the ancient African worship and the essence of ancient African culture all over the planet. So it's definitely a part of African tradition. It's not just a fighting style; it is also a dance, and it's a part of and it's still practiced all around the world today. So, like us, like Brother Anu was saying, when we talk about Bruce Lee and various martial artists, we, very seldom talk about the origins and some of the African origins. Um, and when we talk about the Asian culture, we hardly ever really talk about how there were um, uh, swarthy people of African origins that were, you know, occupants and inhabitants in Asia as well. So, when we talk about Moors, Moors, when we talk about some of the culture and some of the African um, traditions that are practiced. And as I say, you can see it in the Asian culture, you can see it in various cultures, you can see it in the Indian culture, various cultures throughout the entire planet. So, and when we talk about um, martial arts, we are not um, including the fact that when we talk about Asians, often we do not include the fact of the Asians or the Asiatics of African descent. Okay. Um, I have family members, they are definitely, they are have the slanted eyes. Um, so you can tell um, the pure, beautiful, dark skin, when it comes down to the Asian essence of our origins and of our gene pool. The Asians, um, hardly ever are known and are referenced in regards to some of the ancient African culture. A lot of people, when they look at um, the Asian culture, they don't, reference it to the African culture. They, automatically think that there's a lot of separatism, but in reality, it was unified at one point. So we have to keep things like that in mind. We have to keep that in mind, that it was all unified at one point in time, and that's often where we lose focus. And that includes not just from a geographical perspective, but from a religious perspective, a lot of, essences of division. So, and it's not something that's talked about amongst um, the African culture as much. Now, when we talk about martial arts, Barry Gordy made a movie. It was called Last Dragon, and in this movie, there were two men. One was, the one that went around and, bullied and pushed people around. And the other one was a nice, calm, and that is a representation of the essence of the Mali and the benign. Um, where you see one, is referenced as, uh, kind of hostile, kind of bullyish, very rebellious, aggressive, versus the other one who is calm, who is peaceful, who is benevolent, who is warm-hearted, who is, forgiving and understanding. So, there are a lot of things to be learned, um, and one can learn from, um, the essence of studying, the ancient African culture, because, as I stated, when we're talking about martial arts, it's not just talking about the attire that was worn and the beautiful agricultural skills and the craftsmanship. We're talking about self defense as well. So, when we're talking about self preservation, um, oftentimes, it is not really referenced that, there were origins, there were martial arts, and the origins of them are of African origins. So those are the things that we are, that's the reason why I did this video, is so that we can begin to understand all the great contributions that we have made to not just one group of people in particular, one civilizational, one geographical location in particular. When we talk about the planet, one thing for about the Moors And the pygmies, they are known throughout the entire planet. You can't really, pinpoint them to one geographical location because they were migrators. Um, and along with them, as they travel, they, brought teachings. They were known for, uh, bringing skills and craftsmanship. Their cultural belief system and their spiritual belief system. So we want to focus on some of the beautiful things that we have contributed to various societies across the planet. When we talk, oftentimes when we talk about, when we're talking about, it's not a major reference, or it's not talked about how much of a contribution that one has made to not just helping build self, but you also help to build civilizations all over the planet. So that's one of the merciful things, and one of the beautiful things, and the generous kind things about us as the indigenous, um, and we want to focus on that. We oftentimes, it's always talked about, is seen as if the only thing that we have ever done, or that has ever happened when it comes down to African culture, or African American culture, or, whatever, is talked about as the transatlantic slave trade, and that's not the only thing that you know Black people or people of color should be known for. When we look at various civilizations all over the planet and the contributions that have been made, we have to have a better self level of self confidence. We have to understand how important and how pivotal of a role that we have played, and how influential we have been, and our ancestors have been, into creating a better society for us to live in. So we have to, as we study and we do our research, we see all of the beautiful contributions and all of the beautiful things that have been done in order for us to have um, a better understanding. And with that better understanding, what we're supposed to really be doing is adding on, and adding on to their understanding. um, we can't just focus on what they have studied. We have to, go ahead on outside of the box, and begin to create our own paths, and add on to whatever we have learned from others. So, this is just about the beautiful contributions that have been made for thousands, millions of years, you know, um, and, that's one of the beautiful things about, for millions of years, we have been such uh, 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 such a constructive, and so constructive in the building of various civilizations, and we have to keep that in mind, and keep focus of how pivotal of a role that one has played in, like I said, the various civilizations from one geographical location to another. And we have to, oftentimes, as I said, people are arguing about transatlantic slave trade, and how you're going to classify, or what your nationality is and whatnot. But what you really want to more so focus on is the of despite whether we are on diverse geographical locations or not, with universal sequential engineering, when we talking about um, our essence, no matter what your geographical location is, you know, the bloodline still tells the story. So, with that being said, brother, do you have anything else to contribute to the topic? Okay,
Peace.
Hotep.